Hello, this is Julian Brill. This is a video demonstration of my app M.I.N.D, which stands for Music Intervention Neurologic Division. So I'm going to show you a couple of the things that I've been working on so far. We're in the player hub for M.I.N.D agents. I've been working on a sort of a custom lighting system using vertex shading, so I can do some dynamic lighting that I wouldn't normally be able to do. And so you'll see that this is working from a physics object and working from the vertex normal, which is smoothed on a lot of the example meshes. Over here, and you see the pulsing that can be done. Everything is running at 120 because I am just doing unlit materials within Unreal and relying on the vertex shading to create the atmosphere. And then using mesh instancing for all the barrels and any of the small crates and so on and so forth. And so you'll notice all the light effects, everything. Shadows I'm working on. I don't know if it's possible. Good question that I will probably be asking. But again, everything is running on 120. And then I also have, because I can do the vertex shading, create a dynamic lighting. So it's a lerp between sort of this banded shading that you can see there, hopefully in the video, and then the smooth shading to kind of give a mixed effect. And I think although the shadows aren't there, I think the effect of that banded look, especially at 120, is pretty convincing. And that can turn off. Then I'm using controllers for latency reasons, which you'll see. So everything is focused around music as I get some of my sticks here. And the idea being that these M.I.N.D agents are using music to be transported into someone's mind and work on similar goals that I do as a music therapist, which is why I was inspired to do this. So at least in this example for the app demonstration for Launchpad, we're looking at some memory-based ideas. So we're going to be jumping into the hippocampus, as it were. So I'll show you some of the puzzles that I've developed so far. Let me get my orientation a little high here. There we go. So this is a door. It's working on a exact code, which will open it up. I've also been doing, because the occlusion culling was destroying my frames per second, doing some sublevel streaming through Unreal. So this is one sublevel. Then there's the persistent overall level that the pawn is in. And as I make a trip at this point, we go into the next sublevel. So obviously everything back there is gone, and we're in the new spot. And that's how I'm working with occluding my meshes. And so this is the next puzzle, the first puzzle being the code in the door. And I'll show you that puzzle momentarily. I've also been working on a sort of object-based grabbing system. So I've got some line traces that are coming out of each of the fingertips. And so the hand, when grabbing, should form to the shape that it is grabbing. You probably see a little bit better against the darker background. So if I were to grab the tip here, and there's some refinement that needs to be done. But I didn't want it to be like you were near an object and you grabbed it and then it's just floating in air, which you can kind of get to a point if I do it too quickly. So there's some balancing to figure out there. But it does work for both hands. And these are obviously physics objects too. So you can see how we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers on the mesh, and they follow according to the collision of the mesh. There we got 3. So more work to be done on that. This is my beat machine area. And so I'll get my handy dandy drumsticks again. And the puzzle here will be, there needs to be a certain sequence within each beat machine, and I've got a way to develop that puzzle that I haven't gotten to yet. But the actual beat machine, these are, I mean, this is a lot of cubes. So it's 64, it's 8 by 8 row for each one. So you're talking 64, and then they all have the material. So these are all instanced. Fortunately, within 4.25, I found out that you can put in custom data for each instance. And so I'm using that to adjust within the material the color, and then the timing is all done with some back-end math that I set up. Yeah, so this is the drum. So as a beat machine works, it goes through a click. This one is set to, I guess, a 16th note, I would say. I think that's what I was thinking with that. And so when it hits the point, just like you would on like a GarageBand iPad or any kind of beat machine, it plays the note if it's lit up, just like that. And so each row is a separate note, as it would be on a beat machine. Allows you to create build your rhythm in that way. So a big thing that I want to stress in the app is creating music, especially for people who aren't, used to playing music through instruments or through singing. And I think VR offers some really cool ways to create interactive musical experiences that are both kind of educational in one way and also fun to use. So we got our drum over there, we're gonna add our bass. Actually, I don't like that. Let's start up to there. So there's our bass. We're gonna add our piano over here. So in the puzzle, you have to get all of these in a certain arrangement, light up the right cubes, which I will have sort of around the room in a clue type of way. And then this melody will be important for the next puzzle, the final one. And so I'm using F.M.I.N.D for the audio. I've got really good latency. And I haven't had any buffering issues. And of course, because of my graphics being so optimized, because I'm not using any complicated materials, the overhead is pretty low. There's lots of room for memory and so on and so forth. Alright, and then we got some interactive instruments, which won't be necessarily part of the puzzle, but they might be in this room just because they're fun to use. So we got some drums. The scale over there, which is a Lydian scale, but part of a Lydian scale. So So in music therapy, we often do improvisation, structuring the music in a way that everything will sound good. For someone who is not thinking about, hey, is this the right chord? Is this the right note? And again, within VR, I could create something on the wall. I could create something like this, like a Max Rebo Star Wars kind of thing. And you can interact with it musically. And these are also working with the touch of a finger. I wanted to do hand tracking, but I think the latency might be too much. At least I think it's noticeable to me, and I really want the timing to be really sharp. And so you'll notice, especially on these, you can get some really good complicated rhythms, which is important. It can't feel laggy, because then you lose the musicality of it. So that's the beat machine area. Flashlight is still working. And then we'll move into the next sub-level. This obviously is going to open the door. That's the idea, but that's not the right combo, so we're just going to hit through. And that music will stop once we've unloaded that level, and that'll be smoother. All right, and so this is the final grand puzzle. It's a little hard to see because I haven't done any lighting or vertex coloring for any of these meshes, and this is all just the block out. But the puzzle is sort of like a physics marble maze puzzle. And so you're going to see a marble drop down, and the path, which unfortunately is a little bit difficult to see, is not correct. So you have to hit the targets to make the path correct, and you use the puzzle part, the melody in the previous room, which will then there'll be clues and so on to think about. So you'll see that marble go down. Again, this is 120. Physics looks really good. And then this is our handy dandy wrist bracer here, which is the flashlights coming out of there, which again is still working in here. In fact, you might be able to see a little bit better. I don't want to go down there because that's dark and damp. Yeah, there's some blocks that should be a little bit easier to see. And there's the door that would open. So we'll turn off our flashlight, and we'll open up what I call the synthshot, which is an orb. I'm going to figure out some sort of special effect there that you grab and you use like a slingshot. If you get the right pattern and can aim, what you'll notice is the melody from the last room, which I'm going to be integrating into the sort of music soundtrack background. That's a double hit. There we go. Let me turn that off. And then now I can turn on our flashlight. You can see that it went down where it should because the path, these are turning. We'll see that again. There we go. So that's the third and final puzzle. So showcasing the use of the drum, and then this is just not included, right? Showing the use of the drum, the beat machine, using instruments. And the kind of the basis of the art design, which is using the vertex colors and normals to create the lighting and any emission and so on. Unsure about the outlines, but that's what I've got. So thanks for watching.